Let go to trade with peace of mind and success. Stealth trading warmly greets you all. Have you ever felt exhausted, even when you're doing nothing? Have you ever stayed up all night, staring at a cold chart, hoping the price would go in your favor? I have. I began my trading journey full of enthusiasm and passion, with almost absolute faith that I could conquer the market, master my life, achieve financial freedom, and have control over my time. I studied day and night. I drew trend lines with Fibonacci, read candlestick patterns, and devoured every book I could find. I thought that understanding enough was enough to survive. At first, trading felt like an intellectual game, stimulating and challenging. Every trade was a mental battle, each candlestick a wave of emotions: nervousness, excitement, joy, regret. The cycle repeated like waves on the ocean. But I didn't realize that the game had slowly consumed me. By day, I would think about trades. By night, I would dream about them. I couldn't go out with friends without checking the charts. I couldn't sleep deeply because my mind was occupied with support levels, resistance zones, and trends. I thought I was in control of the market, but in truth, the market was controlling me. Every time news came out, my heart raced. When prices moved unexpectedly, it felt like someone was choking me. I argued with my partner because I was holding a losing position, and she messaged me. I skipped meals, lost sleep, and lived like a machine scanning the markets, all while calling it focus, discipline, and dedication to my dream. But deep inside, I knew I was becoming dependent. There were days when I sat in front of the charts from morning till night, not placing a single trade, just watching, unable to tear my eyes away, fearing that if I left, I would miss the opportunity. I became addicted to the feeling of knowing what was happening in real time. I thought I was in control, but in reality, I was being controlled. When trades went wrong, I panicked. I held on, I prayed, and I stared at every price movement. And when my stop loss was triggered, I collapsed. I blamed myself, blamed the market, and doubted everything. I wondered if I wasn't good enough, or if trading just wasn't meant for me. But then the next day, I'd open my laptop, draw new lines, and try to find a better way to make up for it. I didn't realize that I was becoming an emotional addict, not a trader. One night, I sat staring at the charts until 3:00 a.m. with no positions open, just staring. I didn't know why I couldn't sleep. I just didn't want to leave that chart. I feared being left behind. The sound of the clock ticking in the dark room, the light from the screen casting on my tired face. I felt like a shadow, not a trader, not a free person, just someone searching for something I couldn't even name. I began to ask myself, am I in control of the market? Or is the market in control of me? Did I choose this profession to live peacefully? Or am I trading my peace for the constant rise and fall of numbers? I know you may have felt the same way. Trading is a wonderful profession if you know your limits. But when you exceed those limits, it becomes a subtle addiction. No smoke, no sound, but powerful enough to take away all your peace. And if you're in that phase, don't blame yourself. Don't push harder, because you are not alone. Many others are in the same situation. Even seasoned traders sometimes forget how to live like a normal person. We are not wrong for being passionate. But if that passion causes us to lose ourselves, then it's time to stop, breathe, and reflect on this journey. Are you truly living, or just existing in between trades? Are you walking towards freedom, or are you lost in the maze of expectations and pressures? Ask yourself gently, without judgment. Are you still happy with the way you're trading? Every morning, I wake up not because I'm full of energy, but because the market is open. I eat hurriedly, my eyes fixed on the newly formed candlesticks. The sound of the bell signaling the start of the U.S. session makes me shudder like a jolt of electricity, not from excitement, but from fear. Fear of missing out on an opportunity. Fear of losing again. Fear that I'm not good enough to survive in this world. The people around me started to feel distant. I avoided meetings, turned down important events just because there was major news or I was holding a position. Gradually, I didn't recognize myself anymore. The person who used to love to laugh, write, wander, and listen to music was no longer there. Now, all I did was stare anxiously at every price spike up and down. Trading, something I once saw as a path to freedom, was slowly becoming a chain. I seemed to have lost control over time, emotions, or even myself. There were nights when the whole city was asleep, and I was still there. My eyes hollow, my hands trembling slightly, my heart racing as the price approached the stop-loss point. I remember once when a position got stopped out in an instant, only to reverse and rise sharply. I threw my phone to the ground, not because of the lost money, but because of the suffocating feeling of helplessness. Why did I study so much, analyze so thoroughly, yet still get poor results? Perhaps I had made a mistake from the beginning. I thought that if I was skilled enough, I could control the market. I thought that if I just did things right, the market would reward me with consistent profits. But gradually, I began to understand. The market is not a problem with a fixed solution. It is a wild, complex entity that cannot be fully controlled. And if I kept trying to dominate it, I would only sink deeper into a sense of failure. I realized that I wasn't trading actively anymore. I was reacting to losses, to fear, to greed. I no longer chose my trades. Instead, I was being pulled back and forth by the market like a puppet. And that was when I truly began to ask myself, what am I trading for? To get rich or to live peacefully? And if, in the pursuit of trading, I lost myself, was it worth the price? That question initially made me uncomfortable. It was like a mirror I didn't want to look into. But over time, it became clearer. I started to see that I had made trading the center of my life, rather than just a part of it. I don't know if you've ever felt that way. The feeling of loving and hating trading at the same time. Loving it because it gives you hope, challenges, and the opportunity to change your life, but hating it because it makes you feel lost, exhausted, and lonely. If you're in that phase, if you feel like you're being pulled in, exhausted but unable to stop, I just want to say one thing. You are not alone. Many people have been in your shoes, and there was a time when I was one of them. Trading is a journey, and sometimes to move forward, you don't need to learn something new. You just need to pause, breathe, reflect on yourself, and ask what truly matters to you. Next, I'll tell you about an uncomfortable truth, that the feeling of controlling the market, which so many traders chase, is actually just an illusion. And that illusion led me to blindly chase something unattainable. But hold on. Before we move on, I want you to take a moment, just 1 minute, to look back at your journey. Why did you start trading? What have you sacrificed? And do you even remember what peace of mind feels like? Every trader once believed that if they learned enough, if they practiced enough, they could control the market. I did too. When I first started on this path, I thought that as long as I had enough knowledge, I would be safe. As long as I had the right tools, understood candlestick patterns, support and resistance levels, indicators, and news, I could predict the market. Wow. If I studied harder than others, practiced more than others, and took better notes than others, I wouldn't lose. But the market doesn't work that way. It's not a test with a fixed answer. It's not a game of chess where if you make the right moves, you win. The market is a chaotic flow. It moves according to hundreds of factors we cannot see. Sometimes it rises just because of a rumor. Sometimes it drops because of a single tweet. Sometimes it does nothing because everyone is waiting for each other to act first. And in that chaos, I once thought I was in control. That was the first illusion, and the most dangerous one, of a beginner. I remember days when I sat in front of the screen for 6 or 7 hours. My eyes glued to the chart. I zoomed in, zoomed out, changed time frames, added indicators, deleted indicators, and added them again. I thought that if I stared long enough, I would see something. A signal, an opportunity, a hint from the market, as if the market was whispering in my ear. But what I got in return was fatigue, confusion, and expectations. And it was those very expectations that made me lose. I entered trades believing they had to win because I had analyzed carefully. I had done it right. I had followed everything I was taught. I wouldn't accept it when the market went the other way. I held on. I tried to recover. I changed time frames. I checked the indicators. I told myself, it's just a shake. It will go back to the right way. I even added new positions to average the price, hoping that I was right. But the more I did that, the deeper I sank. And then one losing trade turned into 3 losing trades. A red day turned into an entire red week. A small mistake became a deep wound. I began to doubt myself. I wondered, am I not good enough? Do I lack knowledge? But gradually, after many painful lessons, I realized the issue wasn't knowledge. The issue was my expectations. I thought I could control the uncontrollable. I thought I could make the market go in the direction I wanted, as if I were holding the reins. But no one can do that. Not even the most successful traders in the world. They don't control the market. They learn how to live with uncertainty. They don't try to win every trade. They know that sometimes they'll be right, sometimes they'll be wrong. And the important thing is not how many times you're right, but how you handle it when you're wrong. When I understood that, a new door opened. I began to observe myself more than the market. I realized that I wasn't actually trading with the market. I was trading with myself. I was trading with my fear of losing money, with my obsession with losses, with my pride that didn't want to be wrong, with the urge to immediately recover to feel better. Every time the market went against me, it wasn't the market beating me. It was my own psychology pushing back. And if I didn't realize that, I would forever fight in a battle where the opponent was myself. When I realized this, I began to practice something new. I allowed myself to be wrong. Sounds paradoxical, right? But in reality, it was a form of liberation, because when I allowed myself to be wrong, I could place stop losses in the right places. When I allowed myself to be wrong, I could step away from the screen without obsessing. When I allowed myself to be wrong, I could stop when the market was unclear, instead of always trying to catch the highs and lows. I learned to set expectations for myself rather than the market. I no longer expected the market to follow my desires. I expected that I would keep my discipline, that I would not let one losing trade turn into 10 more to recover, that I would be honest with my own emotions, even when they were fear. Trading is a game of probability. You can't be sure of anything. You can only lean towards the higher probabilities and manage your risks if things go wrong. And the right expectation is knowing that I don't need to be right. I just need to keep going every day with a clear head and a light heart. I know what I'm saying might not be easily understood the first time. Maybe you're in a losing streak. Maybe you're holding on. Maybe you don't want anyone to bring up the word let go. I understand that feeling. I've been there. But if you're hearing these words and part of you feels touched, then maybe it's time to start looking back. Maybe you don't need a new strategy, a new indicator, but just a shift in your expectations and to start trading like an adult, not like a warrior who wants to control everything. If you've made it this far and this story resonates with you, don't forget to like and share this value. If you think someone else needs to hear this, share it so they don't have to lose their way. Thank you so much. There comes a time when we realize we can't continue living like this. We can't keep forcing ourselves. We can't keep trading away our sleep, our worries, every moment of our life, just to scrape a few pips in profit or cover a meaningless loss. And from that, we begin to learn to let go. But letting go is not easy. It goes completely against the instinct that the market has engraved in us. Letting go means seeing an opportunity and not jumping in, boy. It means accepting to stay on the sidelines when your hands are itching. It means turning off the chart even when doubt fills your mind. In the beginning, it was truly uncomfortable. Watching the price move without entering a trade felt regretful. Seeing the market move exactly as I had analyzed, but not entering because my mind wasn't steady, that was even more regretful. Watching others lock in profits while I sat there holding onto uncertainty. I began to doubt whether I was being disciplined or being cowardly. I was confused whether I was growing or being weak. I struggled between logic and emotion, between knowledge and instinct. But little by little, everything started to change. I gradually realized that not entering a trade didn't mean I missed an opportunity. Sometimes, staying out was the wisest decision of the day. I learned that the market always offers opportunities, but a calm mind cannot be quickly regained if it's disturbed every day. I learned to close my laptop when my mind wasn't at peace. I learned to turn off my phone when my mind was still confused. And when I did that, I no longer felt weak. Instead, I felt lighter. At first, it was just one trade missed, then two, then an entire session without trading. And slowly, I began to find peace in those no-trade days. It was a peace I never understood before, because before, a day without a trade was a wasted day, a missed opportunity, an uneasy feeling. A sense that I hadn't done anything. But now, a day without a trade was the day I was being true to myself. Because I no longer entered trades under pressure, I no longer clicked my mouse just to alleviate the discomfort. I no longer wanted to do something just to feel valuable. I was learning to trade with freedom, not in bondage. And then, there were days when the market moved in the direction I had analyzed. But I didn't enter because my mind wasn't still. On those days, I still felt regret. But that regret was no longer as sharp as before. It didn't tear me apart. It gently reminded me, next time, if you're calm enough, enter the trade. And I nodded, smiled, and closed that trading day. No bitterness, no regrets. Every time that happened, it was a step towards growth, because I knew trading wasn't about how many trades you make. It's about knowing when to enter and when to stop. And letting go is an essential part of that journey. Letting go is not giving up, not surrendering, and certainly not running away. Letting go is a conscious choice, a mindful action, a declaration that I don't need the market to follow my desires to feel complete. I let go not because I'm weak, but because I understand that the best battles are the ones not fought. The strange thing is that when I stopped trying to control the market, trading became much clearer. When I stopped rushing, stopped panicking, stopped jumping in just because I feared missing out, I began to see the market more clearly, not because it changed, but because my perspective had changed. I no longer chased trades. I no longer carried the weight of pain in every decision. And I no longer regretted every time the market moved against me. Instead, I became more selective. Every click of the mouse had a clear reason, no longer a reflex driven by emotion. Before, I traded to prove I was right. Now, I trade when the market gives a clear signal, and when I am calm enough to see it. I no longer feel an itch to trade when there's no action all day long. I can walk, read a book, drink coffee, and know that today I'm not entering a trade, not because I'm lazy, but because the market isn't truly clear. And strangely, a day without trading is sometimes the greatest victory, not because of the profits, but because I avoided an unexpected crash, avoided a hasty decision, avoided hurting myself. I began to track my trades after a few months, and one thing became clear. The number of trades had significantly decreased. In the past, there were weeks when I made dozens of trades, but now, There are weeks with just a few or even none at all. But my account was different now. No more explosive rises followed by crashes. No more soaring to the peak, then plummeting into the abyss. The profits were more stable, more consistent, not large, but steady. And strangely, that was enough. I no longer dreamed of doubling my account in a few days. I no longer calculated when I would become a millionaire trader. I focused only on trading well today, just today. And my mindset gradually changed with it. I no longer got overly excited when I won, nor overly fearful when I lost. Each winning trade was just a small reward. Each losing trade was a cost for a lesson. I no longer rose to the peak or fell to the bottom with each candlestick. My mood was no longer led by the market like a puppet. And the wonderful thing is, when the mind is at peace, not only do I trade better, but life becomes easier. Sleep returned, breathing became lighter. Conversations with loved ones no longer interrupted by eyes glued to the chart. I know I still have much to learn, still painful losses to endure, and still moments of doubt. But I also know I'm headed in the right direction. And each day that passes, whether I trade or not, I feel something growing within me. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. That's the first thing I need to remind myself every day. I haven't given up on my dream of financial freedom, nor on my goal to become a skilled, stable, and professional trader. Those things are still there, still the lights in the night I'm heading towards. But unlike before, trading is no longer the center of the universe. It no longer controls my entire mind, emotions, and every breath I take. Trading is now just a part of my life, an important part, but not everything. I began to spend time on other things, not because I was tired of trading, but because I needed to live fully. I meditate every morning, just for a few minutes, but enough to remind myself that I am still living, not just existing among the red and green numbers. I read books, not just trading books, but books about people, psychology, stillness, and things beyond price. The more I read, the more I realized that the world is much bigger than the charts, and I am too. I write, sometimes just a few lines of a journal, sometimes analyzing my emotions after a losing trade. I write not for others to read, but to understand myself. And then I begin to share. I share real experiences, the long slides, the moments of standing up, the weary days, the times of awakening. I no longer hide my weaknesses because those are the things that connect me to others who are on the same journey. I began to create the life I wanted. A life not defined by charts. A life where trading is a job, not a destiny. A life where I can close my laptop when the market is unclear, without feeling guilty. A life where I can sit, enjoy a cup of coffee, look out the window, and feel peaceful, even though there are no trades running. A life where I don't have to stay in the market to feel like I'm on the right track. And now, I understand that peace of mind isn't the destination. It's the way we walk. It's how we pick trades, how we set stop losses, how we breathe when the account is in the red dodo. It's how we react when the market doesn't go our way. Peace of mind isn't the absence of worry. It's knowing how to stand still amidst the worry. It's not about always winning, but about being strong enough to not crumble when you lose. Trading is still hard, very hard, but I'm no longer alone like before. I'm no longer suffocating from the tension. I no longer need the market to be right for me to feel valuable. Now, our value doesn't lie in the balance. It lies in how we live, how we overcome a losing day, how we decline an unclear opportunity, and how we rise again after falling. And if there's one thing that truly changed, it's this. I learned to love myself, no longer forcing myself to be perfect, no longer blaming myself for every losing trade, no longer comparing myself to others. I understand that this journey is mine, and it doesn't need to look like anyone else's. Every trader has their own pace, their own way, their own path, and the only thing I need to do is keep moving forward gently, steadily. If you're listening to this, perhaps you're on a journey like mine. Maybe you've clenched your teeth through losing trades. Maybe you've seen the market as your enemy. Maybe you've thought about quitting, but you're still here. And that, in itself, is already a victory. Don't give up. Don't push too hard. Keep going with a lighter mindset, with firmer steps, with a calmer heart, because you deserve a life where trading is a lever, not a chain. Let the market be an opportunity, not a burden. Let every trade be a small part of a greater life. And one day, you'll realize that financial freedom can start from somewhere else. Emotional freedom. Joy. Finally, I began to reach a new state of proactivity. It's when I'm no longer reactive to the market, no longer waiting for the market to make its move before I panic and follow, no longer swept up in every sudden price spike like a sleepwalker. I begin to observe. Instead of making emotional judgments, I learn to listen to the market like an old friend. The market has its own language, and if I'm patient enough, I will understand it. The signs of change are not mysterious. It's just that before I was too rushed to notice them. Now, in a more balanced state of mind, I notice every little breath the market takes. One of the tools that helps me be more proactive is the volatility indicator. ATR, average true range. ATR doesn't tell me where the market is headed, but it shows me how much the market is moving and how much it might move. It's like a heart rate monitor for the market. When the indicator goes up, I know something is building up. When it's low, I understand the market is calm, but it might just be the calm before the storm. And so, I prepare. In the past, I was often caught off guard by a sudden drop, a spike, a stop-loss hunt, and I reacted in fear. But now, with tools like ATR, I know that the market doesn't move without reason. Everything has a signal if I'm patient enough to wait, clear enough to observe, and so I no longer chase the market. I anticipate it. Like a professional surfer, they don't fight the ocean. They don't try to resist the waves. They wait for the right wave and ride it. They know the wave is coming because they understand how the sea moves. Trading with a proactive mindset is the same. I no longer fight, no longer stress, no longer need the market to follow my lead. Instead, I go with the market. And that's when I truly become a trader, not just a reactor. Every trade I make is for a reason, and every time I stay out, it's because I have made a choice. I live with the market, but I'm not controlled by it. And at this level, I feel peace in a different way. It's not letting go to survive, but letting go to take control. This state doesn't come overnight. It's the result of many wrongs, many worries, many let-go moments, and many returns. It's the culmination of training both in skill and mindset. Trading has never been easy, but it's never been entirely impossible either. If you go deep enough, go slow enough, and be true to yourself, you will reach a point where the market is no longer a storm attacking you, but a current that you know how to navigate, and that is freedom. Not freedom from work, but freedom from fear, from tension, from expectations and mistakes that once suffocated your mind. Thank you for listening to this point. Thank you for opening up to reflect on yourself through stories that no one usually shares. I'm not a teacher. I'm just someone who's walked ahead, fallen, hurt, made mistakes, and is still moving forward. I tell these things not to teach you, but to remind myself. And if somewhere in this, it touches your mind, maybe we are walking together on a nameless journey. That journey is sometimes tiring, sometimes lonely, but always real. If you're in the middle of a difficult phase, don't give up. Try letting go a little. Let go of a trade. Let go of an expectation. Let go of an old habit. Then you'll realize that what you need is not to win every trade, but to win over yourself. I wish you a steady, proactive, and peaceful journey.